Now the next one, use case 3, update forecast to SAP. Now forecasting is something that you can do, of course, in both systems. Usually when you give the responsibility to project managers to plan their project and commit to the different objectives and goals that they have for their projects, they also take care, of course, of the costs. So what they usually do is they start planning the project, assigning resources, and thus they will create a lot of cost-related information, which is always more up-to-date than whatever you have in SAP or in any other ERP system. What we want to achieve now here is that all this information, which is based on resource assignments, like PSL Consulting has a work in May and June of 120 hours, 176 hours, whatever it is, to get this converted to the language of a finance system, which always thinks in something like, I have a receiving cost object, I have a sending cost center, and I have a rate behind something which SAP calls an activity type. And here I want to collect my work for the right fiscal year period. This is very finance-oriented language, of course, and it's not something that every project manager needs and, of course, wants to learn. So in this case, again, the solution shall be capable to take this information out from the EPM system, slice and dice the data in the right way, and provide it to the ERP system in the proper finance-oriented way, so the data can be posted correctly to the other system. So let me very quick show you this one in the demo, and I will switch back to my demo environment. So I go here into my webcast. I will take demo 1 first, and as you can see here, I have something like expenses, and if I double click to PSLink cost travel, you can see that there is a cost element from SAP behind this one. So there's something called travel expenses, travel costs here. And this is very important. That's master data that project managers do not really have to know all the details around it. They just have to know there is something like a resource called PSL cost travel, and I can assign it, and that's good for me. Now, the same for external service. If I double click cost services, I can see there is another cost element behind it, which is purchased services, right? And again, an information, master data, held in the background, just important to be there, but not important for the project manager to really know all this SAP related background information. And the same here, if I double click Consultant EPM, I have something like a cost center here, DBG01, and I have an activity type, DBG-Con, right? So this information is also important for an SAP, and again, nothing that really the project manager will have to know in detail. They just assign, and that's what they do. And let's take a look at the data. I will change the screen here down with the task usage, and I will switch to another view. Let me go here and do the whole thing by month. So as you can see here, we have 80 hours for consulting EPM. Let's highlight both for July actually, and another 80 for July, and for developer as well. I want to make this a little bit longer so we can switch over the month. So let me go for 20 days for this one, so you can see now that we have values for both months here, right? So this information is something that SAP should receive in the proper way. So in order to give this to SAP, first of all, I have to publish my project. So ensure that this cost information is really published on the system and can be used as valid information for everyone. After publishing, I will start the job and show you how the cost information will go into SAP. Before we do this, let's go very quick to expenses as well. I will get the cost information here and make a few changes. So I will say this one is 10,000 euro, and maybe, or dollars in this case, just the wrong sign here, and this one is 20,000. And the same here for external services. I can take the data as is, or I can start changing the data. Whatever you do for planning in your system is something that we need later on to provide to the as a forecast to the finance system as well. So for example, you have 40,000 for July and maybe only 5,000 for August, whatever, or 50,000. Yeah, let's leave it with 50,000 for August. So I will save this again and publish this information. And what happens now is our system will gather this information, slice and dice in the right way, and post them into the SAP system so we can see this data later on how this is used there. So let's go execute and run the forecast as SAP primary and secondary cost planning. Now the information, as you see here, will be posted directly to this WBS elements, while the implementation task information will be summarized, will be summarized to our WBS element here. So let's go to SAP and take a look how this looks like. Let's go there, project builder. We will change to another transaction. This is CJ40. And the project I was working on was this one now. I go to cost planning. And on the right side, you can see the values. 30,000 for the costs here, 90,000 here, and 57,600 here. A quick look on the details. I go to annual overview. I will check what's happened in 2012, look at the primary costs, and I can see that these costs have been posted to purchase services. And if I go into the monthly view, I can see exactly the values that I entered beforehand into my project file, actually. And if I go back here and take a look at the data for this WBS element, you see $57,600 here. Let me go again to annual overview and take a look how this is spread over the different cost centers activity types. So what you can see, I have DBGO1 with consulting 240 hours, and I have development for 160 hours. So if I go into details, for example, for consulting, I can see that I have 176 hours in July and 64 hours in August. Double check. We have in fact 80 plus 96, which is in July. Let me go back. This is 176, and another 64, which are in August, which is actually here. Now this is exactly what people want to see in SAP, this information, and this information can be taken as an input for your budget planning. This is how customers usually use this information. They collect the forecast from all the projects. Usually this is done by a nightly job that runs over the projects and posts some baseline into a SEO version, which will be used later on for defining the budget maybe for the next year or reforecasting for the quarter, whatever it is. It's a very, very useful information used by most of our customers in this case.